Have you ever looked at a globe and wondered, if every country is in debt, who exactly do they owe all this money to? The numbers are staggering, running into the trillions. We hear about national debt all the time, but the question of who the ultimate creditor is often feels like a riddle wrapped in an enigma. It's a question that takes us to the very heart of our global financial system. To start, let's clear up a common misconception. When a country like the United States or Japan borrows money, it isn't usually calling up another country and asking for a loan. The reality is far more complex, and in many ways, more interesting. The primary way governments borrow money is by issuing bonds. Think of a bond as an IOU. A government sells this IOU to an investor, promising to pay them back the initial amount, plus interest, over a set period. So, who buys these bonds? The answer is a diverse group of creditors. A significant portion is held by domestic investors within the country itself. This includes individuals like you and me, perhaps through our retirement funds or investment portfolios. It also includes large domestic institutions like pension funds, insurance companies, and commercial banks. They buy government bonds because they are considered one of the safest investments you can make. The likelihood of a stable government defaulting on its debt is very low, so these bonds provide a reliable, albeit modest, return on investment. In essence, a large part of a nation's debt is money it owes to its own citizens and institutions. Then there are foreign investors. This is where other countries come into the picture, but not in the way you might think. Foreign governments, particularly their central banks, often buy another country's bonds as a way to manage their own currency reserves. For example, countries that export a lot of goods to the United States receive a lot of US dollars. Instead of just letting that cash sit there, they often invest it in US Treasury bonds. This is why countries like China and Japan are major holders of US debt. It's not a sign of one country controlling another. It's a standard feature of international trade and finance. Foreign individuals and private corporations also invest in government bonds for the same reason domestic investors do: safety and stability. But there's another, even more fascinating creditor: the government itself. This might sound like a paradox, like borrowing money from your own wallet. But it happens through a process involving the country's central bank. In the United States, this is the Federal Reserve, often called the Fed. When the government needs to inject more money into the economy or manage interest rates, the Fed can buy government bonds on the open market. This process, known as quantitative easing, essentially involves the central bank creating new money to purchase these bonds. So in a way, a portion of the government's debt is held by its own central bank. The government pays interest on these bonds to the Fed, and the Fed, after covering its operational costs, usually returns the profits back to the Treasury. It's a circular flow of money that is a powerful tool for managing the national economy. Let's recap who these creditors are. First, you have the domestic public, citizens, banks, and companies within the country. Second, you have foreign entities, other governments, international investors, and foreign corporations. And third, you have the government's own central bank. The mix of these creditors varies from country to country. In a country like Japan, for example, an incredibly high percentage of its national debt is held domestically. This is often seen as more stable, as domestic investors are less likely to suddenly sell off their bonds during a crisis compared to foreign investors. Now we return to our original question. If everyone owes money, who is the ultimate creditor? We've seen that the debt is distributed among millions of different entities around the world. It's not a single shadowy figure or a secret global bank pulling the strings. The creditors are pension funds trying to secure your retirement. They are insurance companies making sure they can pay out claims. They are foreign governments managing their economies. They are individual investors saving for the future. This reveals a deeper truth about our modern economy. The system of debt is what binds the global financial world together. It's a vast, intricate network of obligations and promises. Debt, in this context, isn't just a burden. It's a tool. It allows governments to fund public services like roads, schools, and healthcare without having to raise taxes to prohibitive levels immediately. It allows them to stimulate the economy during a recession. It provides a safe place for people and institutions around the world to store their wealth. The system functions based on a collective belief, a shared trust that these IOUs will be honored. The full faith and credit of a government is the ultimate collateral. As long as everyone believes the system will continue to function, it does. The money flows, the bonds are bought and sold, and the interest gets paid. So, perhaps the answer to our question isn't a who, but a what. The ultimate creditor isn't a person, a country, or a bank. It is the system itself, the global financial architecture we have built over centuries. The debt is owed to the very mechanism that keeps our interconnected world running. It's a debt owed to the future, a promise that the economic engine will keep turning. It's a mind-bending concept, but it's the reality of the world we've created. A world not built on gold, but on trust and a complex web of interconnected promises. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of national debt. I hope this has given you a clearer picture of how it all works. If you found this interesting, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the systems that shape our world. We'd love to have you with us. See you next time.